Happy New Year's, everyone. Thanks for joining us for the 24th episode of the Drunken Guardian podcast. I'm your host, Danny Martinez, and today we're going to be talking about our favorite top 5 games that we've played in 2020. And I want you guys to also send us your own top 5 favorite games for 2020 and enjoy the show.
Happy New Year, guys.
It's always the same hello. Always sounds the same and everything, too.
Oops. Well, welcome back to, 2021.
No,
I said 2020.
It's genuine. Who gives a shit?
Oh. Well.
I was just teasing. But yeah, Happy New Year to you, too. Or everybody else as well.
Hopefully everyone recovers from their hangover just fine.
Yeah, sadly, I didn't drink much. Dude, I'm fucking old, man. I mean, I'm not, ancient old, but I'm old enough to where, I was holding on for life, trying to wait for midnight, and then about 12:15, I hit my bed so hard.
Jesus.
Yeah, actually, you know what I did was watched the Avengers Endgame. I did that whole thing that was all over the internet where you play Avengers at 9:29 and 30 seconds.
Oh.
And Iron Man will snap you into 2021. So I did that. It was actually pretty cool. No, it was perfect. It was perfect. I wish I could have recorded it, but I was just so fucking tired. How was yours?
It was fine. We were just here really flipping through the different channels and what was having it. So we completely missed J-Lo sliding into a camera, but I could live without that, honestly.
Is that J-Lo thing that I keep seeing about her singing Aerosmith?
Yeah, she sang Dream On, and she did it not that well.
So I heard. People were saying that Neil Patrick Harris sang it better in some Broadway show he did, or I don't know. But anyways, this is a gaming podcast. Fuck it.
Yeah.
So
today it's a New Year's podcast.
So we're gonna go over some news today first. Forgive me, I was working on some cocktails, so I'm a little bit tipsy, and I still got in hand some mezcal neat. So I'm working on that right
cheers.
now. Are you drinking anything?
A orange spiced tea with a little bit of honey.
Sounds good, actually. So to begin the news, we'll jump straight into another cyberpunk thing. It seems like there's something every freaking week. But
third episode, let's go.
Yeah, but this is on more of the bright side of things. Aside from everything that's going on with Cyberpunk right now and CD Projekt Red, they're getting sued officially with this class action lawsuit and all that stuff. They're still trying to bring out some good news. They're trying to look on the bright side of things. Hopefully they can follow up on this promise, but on their Cyberpunk 2077 website, they have announced that they're going to start rolling out some free DLC, and it's going to start in early 2021. So hopefully this is a lot like the DLCs that they had released for The Witcher. They released about 16 free DLCs, and I think it was 2 or 3 paid DLCs. So if they come out with that same trend for Cyberpunk, maybe they can somewhat redeem themselves in the same vein as No Man's Sky did when they were released pretty much everything for free just to make up for what they did.
Yeah, it was pretty much owed.
Yeah. Do you think that'll actually help them out at all? Would they redeem them a little bit, or what are your thoughts?
From a consumer standpoint, and just I spent money on this game, whatever. Yeah, I guess it would, because if it's stuff like, what is it, Blood and Iron from Witcher 3?
Blood and Wine, I believe.
Yeah, if it's a large scale DLC like that for free, fuck yeah, that's awesome. Obviously, I'm pretty sure they're going to include fixes and shit.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's pretty redeemable, as long as performance does drastically improve as well. Yeah,
I would think that if they're releasing any DLC in the future, it would also be along with some patches, fixes, and etc. Hopefully to make especially the base systems a lot better playable, so that way people can start buying the game again, since so many of them were returned. So we'll see how that works out. Hopefully they catch wind and they fix things, and they can make their money back again, and even recoup some money if they end up losing this lawsuit.
I feel like after 3 free DLCs are probably going to, skyrocket again in sales.
But are you looking? We're talking full DLCs type of things, not some bullshit extra.
Oh no! I know. I don't mean a little
microtransaction content and shit like that.
Your fucking dildo katana now has a leopard print skin. No, not like that. Actual, story editions.
Yeah, story editions would be really cool. I mean, the game already has so many side missions and story content already, so it'd be nice to see some extra, I guess, different stuff such as The Witcher. Like The Witcher added a bunch of really cool. What was cool about the Witcher series was that their side missions were always just as interesting as the main missions. They were really deep. They were really character developed. They weren't like just. They had plenty of them, of course, but they weren't all just like a fetch quest or a, go kill this person quest or the god awful escort missions and things like that. They're really deep things, and I hope they kind of dive into that as well with Cyberpunk if they're going to start adding these DLC contents.
Yeah, hopefully.
So in other news, this one will be pretty short, but they have officially announced the Resident Evil movie reboot is officially wrapped and done and completed filming. Of course, now they're going into the editing process and finishing everything up, and hopefully we'll be able to see it. If not this year, we'll see it next year. I have some hopes for this because the person who's supposedly directing this, which is Johannes Roberts, I hope I'm saying his first name right. He's supposedly a fan, and he wanted to dive deep into the actual lore of the actual games and touch on that as much as possible. So we'll see how that goes, because there's been people who've claimed that before, especially with some Netflix content such as Death Note and
Oh, we're talking about that.
Yeah, well, let's not talk about it.
No,
but that's just
it's
a definite example of people claiming that they're fans and then they completely butcher the name. So what are your thoughts on that as well? The Resident Evil reboot, have any hopes that it'll be better than that Anderson crap?
I'm not hopeful. I'm not shitting on it. We'll see how it comes out. I'm like in that middle ground. It could either like bomb or, redeem itself.
So cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I'm like looking at some of the other stuff he did. 47 meters down. Let's see how that was.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a shark movie. 5.6. Strangers 5.2. All right, so we're striving for the Strangers Prey at Night.
Oh. Okay.
Everything seems to be striving for mediocrity here.
Yeah, I mean, The Strangers was a really good movie, but the way, now that you mention it, like it's a typical like one of those home invasion type movies.
Fun.
But it was good though. It was good.
Well, everything seems pretty standard and vanilla with him. So,
okay.
Ooh, never mind. Forest of the Damned 2.8.
Forest of the Damned. This sounds like a B movie.
Hellbreeder 1.9.
Sounds like a C movie.
Roadkill 3.8.
Straight to DVD movie.
And Dark Hunters 2.2.
Okay, now you're really killing my buzz here for the reboot.
Oh, When Evil Calls 7.3.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see. And a lot of like indie directors and stuff have potential to do good movies. I guess it depends on the writing and of course the budget. Like if they gave him like $500 and he has to stress that shit out, that's not going to do anything for the movie. But hopefully they gave him enough to do well.
I'll be cautious about it, but here's hoping at least.
Yeah, no, I understand. Most I think any video game movie you should be cautiously optimistic, because everybody shits on pretty much every single video game movie until it comes out, and then you could really shit on it. But at least you're pleasantly surprised when one is actually good, such as the Sonic movie, which was confused the hell out of me that it was actually as good as it shouldn't have been. Thanks to Jim Carrey, actually.
Seems interesting, actually, right now. I'm looking at it. Fucking Donald Logue is going to be in it. I'm probably saying it wrong. But the dude from Grounded for Life.
I never watched that show.
Well, his face is very memorable. Yeah. And everyone seems like they'd be okay for the role, I guess. Obviously, they can't be as like jacked as Capcom puts them out to be or whatever, but...
So we're not going to get Chris punching a boulder?
He has Chris's face, but I don't know if he has his build.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Rob? The anime, muscular anime build.
Oh, he's fit. Okay, he's not Resident Evil 5 Chris, but he's like still within human range.
Yeah, I would hope so. Okay, all right. Well, I mean, we'll see. Yeah, now that you're spewing out all those movies, now I'm more. I've been taken down a notch, so now I'm just cautiously optimistic about it.
See, now if you had your hopes up high and they were like shit on, you wouldn't be so distraught.
True.
But now if you're surprised by it and you're like, wow, this was really good, then you're up there.
True, very true. And then you can hope for another sequel, whatever, if it is good, but we'll see. All right, moving on. Speaking of the entertainment business with video games, we got Bethesda and Netflix. Apparently, the rumors are what? Sorry, first of all, Bethesda is actually working with Amazon at the moment to work on a Fallout series. I don't know if you already knew that.
Not at all.
Which is very interesting because Amazon is doing pretty well actually with their original content lately. But the rumor now from apparently a known TV and film insider, this was stated from kitguru.net, Daniel Richtman, I guess. Bethesda and Netflix have teamed up to develop a TV series based on Elder Scrolls now. So they got two shows coming up. I'm actually really curious about this. Do you like either one of the series or both?
I enjoyed Fallout 4. Never played the original top downs. 3 was actually a lot more fun than 4. I'll tell you that. But as a series, it's been pretty good. Elder Scrolls, I never really played anything other than in Skyrim, but I enjoyed that one. Yeah.
Okay.
On top of the Fallout show thing, it says that the Westworld showrunners are creating it, and I haven't seen Westworld, but apparently it's like really good.
Yeah, it did really well. I got to see maybe the first 4 episodes, and I just didn't have time to watch it. Not that I couldn't get into it, but it seemed pretty cool. So, I guess it'll be good if that's true.
Yeah,
I'm a huge fan of. I think I would say Elder Scrolls more than Fallout, but I played both, pretty much all of them, including the top-down ones. I would probably be more excited of a Fallout TV show more than Elder Scrolls, just because I'm kind of sick of the whole medieval setting stuff and the fantasy setting stuff.
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, like we already got The Witcher. We had Game of Thrones for a while. I'm kind of over it. It'll be nice to do this post-apocalyptic Fallout series. Like it was kind of like a 1960s aesthetic, or even earlier than that, but still post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
Which always made the Fallout series very interesting. So I think that would be kind of cool to look at.
Magic is fun, but it's like really dull at the moment.
Yeah, it's been overdone, and I kind of picture. I think it'll focus a lot more. I would hope so. If they do a Fallout series, they'll focus a lot more on the stories that happen within all the bunkers.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Because like when you play the games, like there's all these crazy stories that you find, all these things that happen in each bunker. Yeah, experiment, cloning, sacrifices, people going crazy. There's all these different like societies within these separate bunkers because they were stuck there for God knows how long until it was safe to get out. So it would be really cool for them to touch on some of them, or at least maybe like one season they'll touch on one and then another season they'll touch on another. That's kind of my idea of it, but
like an American Horror Story Fallout kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be really cool, actually.
Yeah. Whereas with Elder Scrolls, I mean, dragons, fighting, magic, orcs, elves.
If for that one, it has to start off with the protagonist being imprisoned, though. Without a doubt.
And then Patrick Stewart being the voice of the king, of course. That'd actually be a nice throwback. That'd be a funny little Easter egg on the show. But we'll see.
Another good one would be if the cast actively forgot their lines and they kept those in the final cut.
They forgot their lines?
Do you know about those? I only knew about those in like, what is it, Morrowind?
Did they have bloopers on them or something?
It's not that it was bloopers. It was literally in the game where this woman was like saying her line. She said, "Nah, shit. Can I do that again?" Okay,
are you serious?
Yeah, look it up.
No, I can look that up.
Or after, but it's funny. It's worth it.
We're gonna go on to another article that I found here on Kotaku.com. God, the industry sometimes can get darker and darker. Super Smash Brothers, we all know the game. We all know that there are actual tournaments and stuff for the game. So we got hundreds, if not thousands of people playing this game.
Are we going to talk about the disgusting shit that like that one person did in the community?
Not specifically.
Or just the community as a whole?
Not just the community as a whole, like not the entire community, but I'm assuming you're talking about the sexual assault allegations and stuff like that.
Yep.
Sexual misconduct, I should say, because it's not just assault, but there've been a lot of different reports. So
yeah,
as of now, there have been over 50 sexual misconduct allegations in just the Super Smash Brothers community alone. And this is essentially these older folks preying on these younger folks, you know, doing nasty shit. And we're talking like the more serious stuff, or they're all serious, I shouldn't even say that, but the serious stuff like rape, sexual assault, preying on minors. There is even grooming of underage players to do these types of things as well. So there are these companies now that are backing out, all these sponsors that are backing out for all these competitors because of what they're hearing. And now there's all these investigations going on that hopefully something will come of this. So that way they can kind of clear this out and actually also work on the policies of these competitions and communities. So that way this kind of stuff doesn't happen anymore. So I don't know, you already sound like you were ready to say some shit about it. What do you think?
It's gross. I know that it's not a whole, like, it's the entire community kind of thing. It's the whole thing of a few bad apples spoil the batch. But the community is a little weird, honestly. Like, it's a fun party game to play with people, just kind of like fuck around. But I don't know. There are these weird ass, I guess, vibes you get from some of the players. And even then, it's not taken so seriously when it comes to like prizes and shit. Because I think that one of them was like a controller that you got if you won a tournament. But yeah, no, they were taken out of Evo because of the sexual allegations. You know Evo, right? The fighting
the fighting games.
Yeah. Aside from like a shit netcode that Ultimate had, because Nintendo was really bad with that. That is definitely kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. Not even the straw, like the fucking mound of hay.
Yeah. It seems like, especially with such a fresh or new type of content that they're bringing, like with these competitions and stuff like that. Like, I understand they're also trying to get the kinks out because a lot of people aren't aware of these things. But yeah, 50 already, like 50, like 2 is too much.
One is too much.
What I mean was, like, you know, 1 is too much. But I'm saying, like, once you hear 1 is when things just start changing. Once you hear 1 is when you start looking into these things. Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5. So why is it like now 50 of them are showing up and now things are being done? You know what I mean?
Well, also, in as shitty as it is, people tend to kind of like shut victims up. It's a very, very, very rough subject. But it's not easy for people to just be like, oh, this happened to me already, so I'm going to speak up on it. It's, oh, this one person that if they're the head of it, they're probably going to bar me from these tournaments. They're, you know, if there was any pay, that's not going to come in anymore. You know, there's threats even bigger than that. And it's sometimes you just stay quiet, sadly.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. Like, things aren't clear, so they're kind of afraid to speak out or any repercussions.
Oh, I'm a 14-year-old fucking pro, and I'm going to say this. A bunch of adults that, if they're doing the same shit, they're either going to be like, oh, we don't believe you just because you're making this shit up, or we don't believe you because if this guy gets outed, so do we. You know? The whole thing is fucking sketchy, but it's good that people are speaking up now.
It is good. I wish it could have happened sooner. Like, it shouldn't have escalated this far, but I'm glad at least something's getting done. Hopefully things change for the better.
Yeah.
It doesn't get swept under the rug, or it involves money in any reason. Like, we just need more change and more cautiousness, more rules and regulations, and more awareness, I guess.
Yeah.
With these kind of things, especially when you're dealing with kids, because although, like, for people like us, like, you know, we're much older, we're still gonna run into playing with kids when we're playing online games and stuff like that, and you kind of have to be aware that, you know, kids still have their hands in these things. On another depressing note, IO Interactive, they're very much known for, like, the Hitman series. Of course, also maybe even Keenan Lynch, if anyone's a fan of that. But IO,
train wreck of a game.
I like the first one. The first one was pretty cool.
Oh, the second one wasn't though.
No, definitely not. I burned through that game so fast because I was so bored and I just wanted to get it over with. But the story part one was really cool, and I could have really seen it as like a movie or a TV show or something. Even better, speaking of movies, is like they even did the Hitman movies, which those were really bad as well. But IO, they had the parent company, which was Square Enix, and they helped out when they noticed that the Hitman series was kind of dying. So IO had, created the Hitman series. The franchise was kind of dying after a while, and then Square Enix kind of saved them a little bit. And I don't know if you played the new Hitman series, where they kind of did the seasonal content that was more of an experimental type of thing, where they had planned to only release the game with one level.
Yeah, it was episodic, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they purposely released episodic content so people can buy whichever levels that they felt like they wanted to try out. You know what I mean? Or, of course, you can buy the whole season pass, which is $60, essentially a full game, and then you get the whole
full game
content
for a full game.
Yeah, so which was actually pretty cool. I kind of like that idea, especially with Hitman. Is like what they did was there was so much content, or there's not content, I should say, but there was so many challenges and things you can do in one single level of Hitman to kind of keep you busy. There's a lot of different ways you have to assassinate someone, and you can kind of make your own contracts and tell people how you want them to be assassinated and challenge them, and they get points and rankings and stuff for that, and they unlock certain weapons and certain disguises, certain hiding spots and things like that. So there's a lot of stuff you can do, and I believe it was every 3 months they would release a new level, and it was your choice if you wanted to get that level or not. So it did really well, but IO, unfortunately, they're announcing that the next Hitman, which is Hitman 3 that's coming out soon, is going to be their last one. And that's mostly because I guess they got their hands full because they have now signed on to be working on the new 007 game, which is supposedly the origins of James Bond, like how he became 007. Which is interesting. We'll see how that goes because they're really good with assassin type games, obviously, and spies and strategic type games like that. So we'll see how that goes. What are your thoughts on that?
I for one have never really been interested in Hitman as a series. Like I'll watch it, I'll watch a playthrough of it, but I won't do it myself. But I do like the whole
is it like the stealth aspect or something of it that doesn't appeal to you? What is it?
No, I don't know. Ever since I was a kid, I was never drawn to it.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there's much more to Agent 47's story than just a barcode on the back of his fucking head, but he was too plain of a character to me, I guess.
Generic?
I wouldn't say generic. He would just lacked something.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't drawn to that. So I was like, fuck it, I'm not playing it.
Fair enough.
No, the whole replayability of like, you could have all these challenges and kill someone a different way, or make your own kind of contract, or whatever the case. That's really cool. I do like that. The third one, hopefully, it's. I don't know. I feel like they should do the whole episodic thing again and keep as they were. Because again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I'll probably be into the James Bond one. Aren't they making GoldenEye again?
I've heard they're doing a remastered of the game. I haven't heard anything lately on it though. I mean, if they already announced that they're doing a Perfect Dark remaster or remake, I should say. So if they're doing that, I would not be surprised that they'll do GoldenEye at some point.
That'd be pretty cool. But the origin story for James Bond, that would be nice. They're good with the story. I know that much.
Yeah, I hope it's different though. I hope it touches on it differently because I thought they already did that. I thought that was the whole point of Casino Royale when that movie came out. That's how he became 007. So would they just do it in that way, or are they just going to do their own thing?
I think they're going to do their own thing. Is it going
to be canon? Is it not going to be canon? I don't know. But I mean, not that I'm trying to knock, the reputation or anything. Like, I really don't care as long as it's a good game. I don't care if they fuck up like the canon or the lore, as long as it's good.
No, I think they're going to give him like their own take on an origin story for him.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's like, fuck it, let's just take creative liberties on it.
But Hitman, I'm sad for. Hitman, I am a huge fan. I pretty much played every single one of them, and if you were to play the first one up until now, you see how much the franchise has changed, and at the same time, it hasn't. Like you still play very similarly, but they're always adding so much new content, so much new mechanics, so many new ways of approaching a situation and stuff.
So the core never changes then?
Yeah, the core never changed, and it was always really fun to kind of like figure out what works best for you, because you can run around for 2-3 hours just researching and finding out who has what, who's going where, what kind of things can I do to kill this person in different ways, and then 3 hours later you finally decide, all right, this is how I'm gonna do it. And either you continue and do it, or you probably just restart the level, and then you're like, all right, I already know what this person's going to be, and then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and this whole domino effect of stuff, all just to kill this one guy, and it's a lot of fun.
That sounds fun. All right, so maybe I'll try out the third one when it comes out.
I think you should. At least, you know, they're going out with a bang, so I think you should at least try out the last one before. From what they've said, anyways, they said this is the last one for a long time, for a while. So I don't think it's gonna die forever, but it'll probably be quite a while before we see another one.
If anything, it could be last actual game, but then they just keep releasing shit for it.
I guess so. Those kind of games are always kind of iffy for me, because Destiny is in that same vein where it's like, I get that you're trying to hold on to just being Destiny 2 and you're not trying to do a Destiny 3, but when you're adding so much content after the past, let's say 6 years, you're just taking up hard drive space over stuff that you don't even want to play anymore. All this content that you've already either done or don't want to do, and it's just sitting there taking up space.
Yeah, that is tricky, isn't it?
And in final news, this is something that it's kind of a win for the gaming industry. There is an article on IFL Science. This is written by Jack Dunham, written last month in December. They talked about, which I actually want to talk about specifically one day. One of our podcast episodes is about violent video games and how it affects people. Okay. So this article talks about playing violent video games as a child does not increase aggression. So Jack Dunham, he talks about it, and of course he explains there was an experiment being done for the past 10 years about how psychologists have not found no link between playing violent video games as a child and aggression in later years. They had these kids essentially playing Grand Theft Auto. And they played for hours, and they've showed no significant increase in aggression over any of those kids for the past 10 years. So I'm happy to hear about that. It's great to hear about that, because people still, even to this day, still like to blame video games for the violence that happens with people. So if anything... Sorry, you wanted to say something about it?
Oh, no, just like, of course, I agree with you that like people still say dumb shit like that.
Yeah, it's an argument we'll always have to defend pretty much the entire time we're gaming fans. But the article goes on to say, not only does it not show aggression or cause aggression in people, but it actually helps with people with mental health problems such as depression and anxiety, and it helps with coping. It gives you coping mechanic and allows distractions from like the real world and stuff. So I don't like the way the wording is about it when it talks about how, like, yeah, it helps you distract yourself from the real world and stuff, but I understand what they're trying to explain. Oh, excuse me. Because you don't want to cut yourself off from the real world. You know, us as players, like I would always advocate gaming to anybody, but I would never say that gaming should take over your life. I would never say that gaming should take over all of your time and you should cut yourself off from the real world and just ignore the world and all your problems and stuff. That's not how you should cope with anything, because gaming can, and it already has been acknowledged as an addictive drug in a sense whenever it starts to affect your daily life.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your thoughts on that?
I'm pretty sure someone's going to try to shit on that article and be like, no, but violent video games are still, causing this and that and whatever. But in terms of the wording, it could be a bit different. It's more of an outlet, I guess, as opposed to a coping mechanism. Because an outlet sounds a bit nicer than coping mechanism. Because at that point, it's just like, oh, like you're really being fucked by something, as opposed to like you're just kind of seeking sanctuary in a video game, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to escape. There's nothing wrong with it. When you're, I do it all the time. I still do it even now. When I'm stressed out during the day and I want to jump into a game and kind of just forget, I know I'm going in there to forget about why I'm so pissed off. Maybe I had some restaurant people come in and they ate or they drank and they pissed me off for the day, and instead of going out, I bite my tongue, but I'm pissed off for the rest of the day. I'm going to jump in a game and I want to play so I can calm myself down. It's not a way for me to just completely forget and bottle everything up, but at least I can kind of take myself down a couple notches to kind of acknowledge the way I feel, kind of chill out a little bit and realize my emotions and kind of learn how to deal with it afterwards.
Yeah.
I know some people still do kind of have a problem with gaming when it comes to like, they kind of use it to bottle themselves up and put themselves in a bubble. And I don't think that's the way you should go about it. You really should learn how to manage your emotions. And I'm not saying this article specifically says that, but I don't know. That's the way it kind of came off to me a little bit.
Yeah, because even then, like in terms of anger and shit, video games can sometimes amplify what people already feel. Mm-hmm. Like when someone's playing a video game and then they die like 3 fucking times in a row and they end up breaking the controller. That's on them. It's not the game. They already had that rage within them.
Yeah, and that's what I mean about like managing your emotions. Like there's no reason, and I'm guilty of it. I was maybe from the first time I was gaming from the old Nintendo system all the way up to, let's say, maybe I would probably say like my N64. I had broken a controller or two back then because I didn't know how to handle my emotions. I was a child.
Yeah.
But as you get older, you should kind of learn how to handle that a little bit better. You shouldn't be breaking controllers. You shouldn't be breaking TVs. There's no reason why you should be saying your mama jokes and shit like that on Call of Duty. It's just it's immature. Like, just, it's literally just a game. It's a game for your enjoyment. There's no reason why you need to be that way.
Yeah. You could be mad in silence. Like, what is it? Fucking, whenever I play League, like, yeah, sure, people kind of piss me off or whatever, but that's just like sheer ineptitude. And then at that point, I'm like, all right, fuck it, whatever. This is just one game. I can get into another one afterwards. So, fuck it. What's the point of like getting all, fuck this, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah. I think even now, like, I think the most I'll ever get pissed off is during Demon Souls Dark Souls games, because those are made to piss you off.
And you're like, fuck you, developers.
Yeah, and then of course,
send Anthrax over there.
And of course, I'll complain. I'll definitely complain and rant and bitch about certain things, such as, for example, the whole Cyberpunk debacle, but. It's not me being angry sending death threats, which is like, I think it's the most extreme thing you could do. Why are you sending death threats to a company that's trying their best to make a game? Why are you sending death threats to a woman trying to be an actress in a video game? I'm talking about Abby from The Last of Us. Why? In the end, it's still just a game. Enjoy yourselves and have fun. There's no reason why you need to feed into these people that claim that games cause violence.
People are just born that angry, honestly.
Yeah, and they need to find help. They need to seek some type of coping mechanism that clearly isn't video games. Video games isn't working for them. If video games isn't working for them, and they're still angry, they're still sad, they're still if it's not helping them, then look for something else to try to manage your life a little bit better. But we can get into that topic forever. I definitely do want to do a separate episode with that. Maybe it might even be the next episode. We'll see about that. But yeah, that's the last article for the day. We're gonna go straight into our next topic, which is our main topic, which is our 5 favorite games of 2020. Since we're now in 2021, we can kind of reflect back on the games that we played throughout the year last year. So we'll be right back. All right, we're back, and Randy, I'd like for you to go first. What do you got on your list on your favorite 5 games of 2020?
Oh, fuck me, I'm in the hot seat. Whoops. Pardon me. Jesus.
I should be doing that. I'm drinking.
I think I drank the tea a little too fast. Alrighty. So, re-releases and like updated shit does count, luckily.
Yeah. Whatever it is that you play that you loved since last year.
Fucking number 5. I actually put mine in numerical order. I know that you didn't, but my 5th would be Warriors Orochi 4 Ultimate, because it's a really good time sink. Hack and slashes are always like mindless fun. You can kind of autopilot and play it, and also they have a thing that hasn't really like been too apparent in video games, I guess, as of late. Fucking
those are those like split screen. It's got split screen,
yeah.
really.
Yeah, it does.
But it's one of those Dynasty Warrior type games, right?
Yes, this one is actually both Dynasty and Samurai Warriors like put together, because it's like a whole. The story is like fucking nutty, because it's just like a time traveling kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But it's not really a game that you would play for the story. You kind of just go in and like, hey, I'm just gonna level up. Hey, I'm just gonna kill this. You know, who can get the highest body count? Because I play with my brother, so it having split screen is really, really neat, because you don't see that often.
Yeah, you really don't.
It's fun.
Okay. Anything else about it? Like, does it have RPG element to it?
Yes.
Okay.
Every character has levels. There are 3 different like archetypes of characters. It's over the top as shit, so visually it's appealing. One thing that's super fun to do is make the frame rate go from like a solid 60 to 5.
Because it got so much going on screen.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Because from 3, they like incorporated a bunch of shit. Like they changed how some of the characters play for better or for worse. But because the roster is so huge, like who gives a shit? You could constantly keep on changing out, like to figure out whatever team you want to play. But one thing that I do like is that they added, how to put it? They call them treasures, but they're just extra weapons in a sense that give you different abilities. My brother, he uses a Cerberus thing that freezes enemies in place, and I use a scythe that does whirlwinds to kind of gather them up. Seeing how you could have a team of 3, you have a thing called unity magic. So in that, it's kind of like this giant spirit bomb of sorts, and it kills everything that's within the vicinity of the said orb. So what I do is I run around gathering everything. As he's charging up his unity magic, I pull them all into the center of it. So you see that they all move in one movement. The ball falls, they take damage, and because items spawn when you kill them with that, the frame rate goes to shit.
Oh man,
yeah, it's mindless.
That's funny. That reminds me of this huge thing that Destiny did for a while, and you know I'm always going to try to bring up Destiny at least once per episode. But
if not Cyberpunk, Destiny for sure.
If not Cyberpunk, Destiny. But there was a raid was it Forsaken? I believe it was Forsaken. There was a raid where. So actually, not even just a raid specifically, but in general, they added in the gameplay feature where whenever you kill enemies, you always gain Glimmer, which is the currency, the money for the game.
Yeah.
And the Glimmer was just automatically collected in previous versions of the game. But when Forsaken DLC came out, the Glimmer spewed out of the enemies, so you had to like touch them and collect them.
Okay.
So the problem was they didn't think about what happened if, let's say, you had to respawn. If you died and you wiped and you had to restart the level or the raid or whatever encounter, the glimmer still stayed there on the floor. So in the raid specifically, we fight the last boss, and the last boss was such a pain in the fucking ass to fight. So we wiped so many times, a million times, and you can imagine how much glimmer is on the floor. So that frame rate bogged down so bad because there's just this glimmer sitting everywhere, all over the floor from all the ads that we killed trying to get this, trying to kill this boss. So I don't know if they fixed it, because after I beat the boss and after I finally got the exotic weapon that I wanted to out of that raid, I vowed I would never play that raid again, and I still haven't. So I don't even know if they fixed that problem.
Jesus.
It was that
Sounds
bad,
fun.
the whole frame rate thing. So yeah, as much as I praise, Destiny, there's still so much in that game that could go so wrong, and they really do need to fix.
So what would your fifth be?
My fifth game, in no particular order, I have been playing this shit, and I haven't beat it yet, but I'm pretty damn close to it. But I have been playing a game that is not very well known, which is called Chronos Before the Ashes. And
what's that? Because I really don't know.
So if anyone had ever played Remnant, from, what was it, After the Ashes, or
From
damn it, what was it called?
the Ashes?
From the Ashes, yes. So Remnant From the Ashes, it was kind of like a lot of people like to compare it to Dark Souls, but with guns. It had like a cover mechanic. It was you shot all the enemies and stuff, and there was a ton of bosses, a lot of really cool boss battles, and a lot of really cool guns. So when I heard of Chronos, apparently it's a prequel to Remnant, but it plays completely different, where even the art style is actually very different, made by the same developers and everything, but it is a hack and slash type of game, Dark Souls style. So you're still blocking, you're still swinging, you're still observing your enemies, trying to make sure you kind of recognize their patterns to how to hit them, because if they hit you, they hit hard. So it's traditional in that sense, where it's Dark Souls, and it's also a bit of an RPG element where you're gaining levels, you're upgrading your stats such as strength and magic and stamina and such, because you have a stamina meter. So it's pretty basic and generic when it comes to that. I really mostly got it because I'm a Remnant fan, and I wanted to know more about the story and just kind of support their cause because the game was so great. So the catch that really got me was, every time you die, you obviously respawn back, but you respawn aged by 1 year.
The fuck?
So you start the game out at 18 years old, and as you die, if you keep dying, you age. And you even notice it in, like, physically. You'll see the person aging. So right now, I'm about to, actually, no, I already hit 30 years old. So I'm about to finish the game, hopefully. And I'm 30 years old now, and you can clearly see how different he looks compared to when he was 18. So the catch with that is that from age 20 to age, I believe it's 80, every 10 years that you age, you gain an additional perk.
Oh.
So in that sense, it's kind of like a roguelike. So you die, you kind of lose. Well, you don't really lose anything. You just lose your progress, I guess. But you age a bit and you gain a perk after 20 and then after 30. I'm not sure if it's random, but my first one, for example, it raised my strength to like 10, and then the other one, it like raised my health, or I think it was something like that. I couldn't really remember too much, but that was an interesting concept. I really like that idea. So that's kind of what got me hooked. So I want to finish the game under 40 years old and see how that works, is try to actually stay under my age, my own age. And I think after I beat it, I might go back in and just literally kill myself a lot and see what it's like to be an 80-year-old man fighting a dragon. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, that's my fifth one right now, is Chronos Before the Ashes.
That sounds pretty cool. Honestly, though, like with the perks, it seems like it would kind of give you incentive to die-ish.
Yeah.
But I wonder if like you get negative effects after a certain age?
Oh well, they actually, yes, they do. They mentioned it once I hit 20. They said that. So there's I think it was 4 stats. There's strength, there's health, there's stamina, and there's magic. Those aren't the names of it, but those are the specific, the general traits. Mm-hmm. And they mentioned that as you age, your strength and stamina go down.
Oh.
But your age and your what was the other thing? I mean, sorry, your age, your magic and your whatever other thing raises up. So of course, just like real life, when you get older, your strength kind of dwindles, your stamina kind of dwindles. So, but other things raise instead, such as your wisdom. So I guess that would be considered magic. So that's where I guess where that they get that idea from. Yeah. So I guess it's a penalty, but it's also a perk.
Yeah, one thing goes up, the other goes down.
Right.
Let me know when you get the back pain debuff.
I gotta walk. My sword is my cane.
You get the weak knees every time you drop. You fucking take like insane fall damage.
That'd be some hilarious shit. I can't even dodge anymore. I'll just crack a hip or something.
You just trip.
So what's your next one?
That sounds fun. Speaking though of like roguelikes, as you said, Hades.
Oh God, that's on my list too. So let's just go on that one. Okay, I'm surprised you picked Hades. I didn't know you even played Hades.
Yeah, on PC. It's pretty. Nice. It's pretty good. It's really pretty because it's fucking Supergiant Games and they have like insane fucking art style. You played Bastion?
I did. Yeah, that was awesome too.
Amazing. The story is pretty good too, even though like it's not story heavy, but every single time that you do go back to like the starting point,
so much dialogue.
Yes.
Yeah. So much good dialogue.
The voice acting is amazing too.
It is,
and it's procedurally generated as well, so that's nice.
Yeah, I always like that aspect with roguelikes is procedurally generated to kind of always be fresh every time you die. So I always feel like I am progressing regardless of how many times that I die when I do play that game. I haven't gotten too far in it because I'm always still stuck on my PlayStation, but I do have it on on Steam as well. Yeah, so I do play it on Steam. I have fun with it too. That's on my list. So Hades was freaking awesome. The story, I don't get too much aside from obviously he's trying to run away, but the dialogue is always there. There's always new dialogue. Everything is so freaking colorful and yet at the same time so dark. Yeah, and gothic. It's such a good art style, and the gameplay is still just so much fun.
All the weapons feel really cool, and even the buffs that you get like from the gods. I like when they start to become like hybrids.
Yeah, I really like the shield throw thing. That's my favorite one so far.
I think I'm just using the sword. It's sword or
sticking with the sword?
Yeah.
Gauntlets? Do I have the gauntlets? I don't think I have gauntlets.
Little punchy punch stuff.
I can't remember. I remember there's like the ranged like lance stick thingy majigger. But then there's also the sword and the shield. I don't remember gauntlets. Maybe I did unlock it and just never really touched it. Because I don't, especially with roguelikes, I don't really like close combat. Like, I want to be safe and be as far away as possible.
Last time I played was in July.
Oof, it's been a while.
Yeah, I have an update queued up for it, but it's good.
All right, well, so that's actually... I would probably say that's my number 4 as well then, Hades. I'll go into my number 3, which would be the Resident Evil 2 remake.
Oh, really?
I fucking love Resident Evil, except for those other ones like 5 and 6.
5 was the best. What do you mean?
Oh, God.
In what other game can you punch a boulder?
I'd rather not in any game, honestly. But I just, they ruined the whole horror aspect of things for the longest time.
Yeah, it got really campy.
Yeah, and then they came out with 7, and 7 was freaking awesome, and I couldn't wait for 8. And instead of announcing 8, they had released these remakes that were just rumors for the longest time. And by the way, Resident Evil 2 is by far my favorite Resident Evil, from the originals. So I was so excited to get this one, and it did not disappoint. It was more than just a remastered like people thought it was. It was a complete remake. in the vein of Resident Evil 4, like the mechanics, like the over the shoulder stuff, and the atmosphere and the darkness, and it was really a lot of what the fuck is around the corner? Do I have enough bullets? And I never had enough bullets because for some reason it was really hard to actually headshot zombies. So, and that's all you wanted to do because you wanted to make sure you get the most bang for your buck when it came to damage. And you'd miss a lot of the time, or at least I'd miss a lot of the time. So either you're shooting the head or you're shooting the legs to try to knock them down and then just knife them or something. But it was just really, it was done so well. And then you throw in Mr. X, which was just as scary as he was in the original. So that was even a plus. Did you get to play that one?
2? No.
No?
No.
Did you play the original?
Nope.
Oh my god. You have no idea how much you're missing out.
I saw a playthrough of it. I really enjoyed it. I'll get to it eventually.
Yeah, eventually. We'll see.
Eventually. Well, when I'm done playing Kingdom Hearts, you know?
Yeah, well, that's never going to happen.
I know. I just beat fucking Dream Drop today.
Oh my god. And then you're going to jump on it again in a couple months, I'm sure.
Most likely tonight because I'm trying to fight the secret boss to get ultimate weapons. So
see what I mean, man. You gotta jump on it, man. Jump on 2 or even jump on 3. 3 wasn't as great, and I'm streaming that now for anyone who wants to see like the whole playthrough on Twitch, but or YouTube. But 3 was pretty good too, though.
That's the one with the rolling mechanic, right?
Yeah, the dodge mechanic.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'll play 2.
Yeah, 2 still fun. Like if you want more scares, 2 is definitely your better game.
2 it is.
What's next for you?
My number 3 actually is Ghost of Tsushima.
That's mine also then.
That'll be your number 2, I'm assuming?
That'd be my number 2, yep.
Oh. Yeah, for me it was 3. Like the story was really good, combat was interesting, especially like on the higher difficulty. I think my only gripe would have to be that when they released that, like the really, really difficulty, it was a little too easy.
And the other difficulties?
In the last one, because you know how like there's easy, medium, hard, and then like they're very hard. I forgot what the fuck the name was. Because the whole thing, it's like, oh, you know, your enemies could hit you harder, but in turn you also hit them harder.
Yeah, they also closed the window for the that slash mechanic. What do you call it?
Oh, the showdown. Yeah.
Dude, they shortened the window for you to actually like attack them on time.
I was so good at that for like the first 2 days, and then afterwards I just gave up on trying to do showdowns. I'm like, fuck it, just everyone come to me. But no, like everything was really good. Even the platforming, the stealth felt amazing. It was a very, very good open game. Even the fucking world felt really good. Like as open as it was, as so much detail there was, it never felt empty.
Because there was a lot of life to everything, even though you didn't really interact necessarily with it.
Yeah. Because they had a bunch of stuff like what is it? The different hats, the weapon skins that you could get. Yeah. Like there was a story behind everything, and like, oh, you know, this happened here, so this is why this is there, or whatever the case. Yeah. That's a good best example of the whole living world thing. There's I don't remember what area it was, but it was kind of sad. There was like 3 corpses from one of like the sword kit things, and in every corpse there was kind of like a note, and every note was a progression, like a little story that they were trying to tell. But the final corpse was like at the bottom of rocks, like by the water. And it was some woman, but basically it was how like this family was being chased by bandits, and they ended up like each getting struck down, and the final one was like they were trying to hide, but they ended up, you know, getting caught and thrown down there. Okay. Like, fuck, that's ouch.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I really like the legendary like skills and stuff that you get. Like those legendary stories are really cool. Like a lot of them were mythological in a sense, but then when you actually met them or saw someone at the end of those missions, they have a more realistic reasoning for like why they were so mythical or supernatural in a sense.
What's it, the heavy bow? I kind of don't want to like Well, I guess that's not really a spoiler, if anything. But the one that you fought the Oni with the murder of crows around you.
Oh, that was really cool. Yeah, and he was like poisoned because he was hallucinating or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really cool one. And like the fire, I think it was a fire like surrounding him.
No, it was crows.
It was just the crows. Okay, so maybe I'm thinking of a different encounter.
Mask.
Wasn't there like fire surrounding on one of the encounters? I can't remember.
Fuck if I know.
Yeah, but I mean, they're still really cool. Yeah, and that's the thing also. Like, they were really, I don't want to use the word cinematic, but like...
Well, that's kind of the only word to describe it.
Yeah, they had these really crazy set pieces, like, that were straight out of like a true Japanese movie. Mm-hmm. Like, you're fighting these guys in front of a waterfall or a storm, and you just see the thunder and lightning and the heavy rain everywhere. Like, it was done so well. What drove me in the game mostly was how much fun I was having as a samurai rather than a ninja or ninja-ish or ghost. Yeah. Because I usually tend to lean more towards stealth in any game that gives me the option to do stealth. And that's what I had planned to do when I played this game, is just strictly be a stealth guy. And I actually had more fun being a samurai. So I was really like pleasantly surprised that like I wanted to get straight into the action rather than be sneaking.
Yeah, the fighting felt amazing.
Yeah.
But again, with the back to the whole difficulty thing, with them hitting you harder, you hit them a lot harder. The Ronin standoff?
Yeah, those are hard.
Yeah. You could do those in 3 hits now.
Mm.
So you're better off just playing it on hard instead of very hard, because at least like they're like, you get spanked because you can't kill them in 3 hits.
Yeah, I guess it gives it a little bit more realism too.
Yes, but also it takes away something for me, because at that point it's like, wait, that's the fight. What used to take me like 5 minutes now takes me fucking 40 seconds.
True, that's true. Yeah, to each their own. Everybody's a bit different. I was thinking about 100% in that game, but now I'm in deep with so many other stuff now, so I can't go back to it. I did enjoy a bit of the online stuff that they got on there, but
Legends.
Yeah, unfortunately, I got a very rare bug that some people get, where you install Legends and you can play for a little bit, and eventually when you log off the game, you turn off the game, you try to go back into it, and it gets stuck on a black screen, and you can't get into even the main menu. I've tried reinstalling the game, and no luck. So I'm kind of screwed with playing Legends any further. I really wanted to try the raid, because the raid was released, and then that's when I caught the bug, and I was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna bother, and I just jumped onto something else.
Damn, your fucking ghost got COVID.
That's fucked up. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna be on my number one right now. If I mention my number one now, so
well, you should mention
your number two.
I think.
Well, my number two was Ghost as well.
Oh, it is Ghost, right? It is me this time. Okay.
So you'll be your number one. No, sorry, number two now. Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Sakuna of Rice and Ruin.
Of course it is.
I haven't fucking finished it yet, but dude, it's fucking amazing. Honestly, art style is so pretty, because it's like Okami, where everything's like kind of brushed. It looks like it's painted. A mechanic keeps getting fucking introduced nearly every season, I guess, in the game.
Season?
Yeah, because it's seeing how like it's a harvesting thing, like a little farm sim. Seasons do pass, so you get different crops in different seasons and whatever the case. But then with the more you progress in the farming thing, you get farming skills to help you improve your crops, or kind of like help manage them so they grow better. And at one point, one of the other characters, they were like, "Hey, I found a bunch of farming scrolls. Let's read them." And every time he finds a new one, he gives it to you. And every time you fucking read it, it's like, "Hey, you know what you're doing? You're doing it wrong. Do it this way." And I'm like, "Fuck me." Because while I was like keeping everything kind of stable in one way, apparently it's like, "Oh, for the third offshoots, you should definitely drain all the water." And I'm like, I was supposed to do that? This was after the third fucking harvest. So my fourth one, I ended up doing a lot better. But everything, it's amazing, honestly. The lore, they keep adding everything based on like the nights. Well, every night, like you have to eat a meal, and seeing how everyone's like sitting down eating, they either share stories about like where they're from. The goddess is either informed about her upbringing, or she like tells people about the heavenly realm. So the story keeps on expanding while you're playing with it. So everyone learns as you learn.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I don't. Did you explain that to me before about the how you learn those techniques and stuff?
No, because I didn't even fucking know that was gonna be introduced.
Yeah, that's really cool. Actually, I like that. It's almost like it's a forever running tutorial. Like they're just forever teaching you everything very slowly.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, all the mechanics, even in the fighting, like in the combat itself, it's really good because you have your light weapon, your medium weapon, and then your raiment skills, which is basically like this garb that you could use to grab onto your enemies and either fling them around, pull yourself to them, pull them to you, weaken them, amp yourself, or whatever the case. Then
you mentioned it was skills. Like, sorry, go ahead.
No, continue.
You mentioned it was like Okami. Is that how you're saying like how the combat is? What about the art style?
No, the art style is a lot like Okami. The combat,
like watercolors.
Yeah, the combat is nothing like Okami because it's a side scroller when it comes to the boards. So it's a side scrolling platformer, almost a Metroidvania kind of thing, if anything. But you have an overworld map that you pick where to go. Different items spawn in different areas, different enemies are in different areas. You have some areas that are like solely mini bosses. You can keep revisiting bosses, and yeah, the only part that like you actually get like a whole XYZ axis is in the hub, the farm itself.
The farming stuff, right?
Yeah.
Again, I still need to check that one out because you explained to me for the past 2 weeks now about it, and I still have it on my freaking reminder list. But like I told you before, like I got the Resident Evil 2 stuff going on, then I got Chronos, and then there's still a shit ton of stuff I want to touch on Steam, and of course I still got Destiny. I got to play that at least once a week, so. I gotta touch on that. That sounds really interesting, especially now that you even told me about like how you progress skill wise with it as well. It sounds really different.
Yeah, because a lot of them is like some of them are just like quality of life things, like you could harvest a little bit faster, and then there's other ones that are like, hey, now instead of just harvesting one crop by one, you could do 2 by 2, 3 by 3, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
And when it comes to planting, tilling, it's a beautiful nightmare.
I don't think I've touched any type of simulator type game, like farming wise and stuff like that, ever since like. You ever played Dark Cloud? It's for the PS1.
Oh, fuck me, no, but I know of it.
Yeah, that was a bit of a town management simulator / dungeon crawler.
Yeah, so if anything, something similar to that.
Yeah. That's what I was seeing. I was picturing 2 games, and Dark Cloud was one of them, and then the second one was, if you ever played ActRaiser for the Super Nintendo.
The fuck is that?
So obviously Super Nintendo is much older. So like ActRaiser was pretty much one of the first games that I could think of that meshed together these 2 very strange genres, and it was a side-scrolling hack and slash, traditional hack and slash. Moving from left to the right until you get to the end of the level and you fight a boss. And the other half is you played a god, and the god, he looked over the world, and you basically ran the world. You made little towns, you made little villages, you put crops everywhere. You could make fire, you could make flood, you could make storms, you could do all these different things to try to run the village. And occasionally your village will be run by monsters, like overrun by monsters. And that's where the hack and slash stuff comes in. So like the little angel, which is kind of like the I guess the narrator of the game, kind of like Navi from Link. He just follows you around everywhere. And your little angel will be like, oh my god, there's some monsters nearby, they're gonna attack the city, you better go take care of it. So you go and take care of it, and that's when you send the character down into the world, and that's where the side scrolling comes in. And now you're playing as this guy that the god has sent to take care of the monsters, and that's when it turns into a hack and slash.
That looks really cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It was really, and oh man, I think what I loved about it the most, and I don't really care for it much in most games, but the music was fucking so good. It was very like heroic and just like upbeat. It was crazy. It was really good.
It looks really interesting. I'm looking at screenshots right now, and it's very, how could I put it? what's the guy's name? Jorge Vallejo?
Who's
Like
that?
some really an artist that does like really over the top like power metal kind of fantasy art.
Yeah, it was definitely fantasy. Like, I guess the guy kind of, in a way, looked like Thor, just obviously without the hammer. Just put a sword on him. It was a fun game. Man, I really want to go back into it now. I mean, I don't even know. I have the Super Nintendo Classic, and I don't know if the game was in there or not.
Probably not.
But yeah, but if not, then maybe I can go into one of my old emulators and find it. But yeah, we're getting sidetracked now with reminiscing about old games. So Sakuna Rice and Ruin was your number 2, right?
Yep.
Okay. And all right, so I'm gonna go for my number 1 then. We'll leave you with number 1 since you started.
Drum roll, please. It's
Drum
Destiny
roll.
2.
Definitely not. No. Yeah, the oh god, no. The Fortnite, you got me. It is Fortnite. I just love the floss dance. I can't. I do that shit.
Okay, anyways, on to your number 1. Enough of this joke.
Yeah, so everybody that knows me, they know that I am a hardcore Final Fantasy fan. Final Fantasy 7 to be more specific. So of course my number 1, I think it would have been my number 1 if I did this list in order, would be the Final Fantasy 7 remake. And that was a dream come true. That was something that I hoped that I'd still be alive for. I was expecting, if anything, I'd be like 70 years old when a remake came out. No joke. Like, I never thought it would happen in my lifetime, but it did happen, and I'm glad for it. It was great. A lot of people talk a lot of shit about it, and I understand why, because it is very different. It's not traditional Final Fantasy style either. On top of that, but I love what they did with it, and especially with Final Fantasy VII, I loved it more so for the story rather than the gameplay, because the gameplay was still very traditional turn-based, aside from the material system, which they added into the remake, so it made the game even better. But the story was there, and yet it wasn't. It was very familiar, and it was almost brand new at the same time. It's really hard to explain. Have you played the game at all?
Yeah, didn't get very far in it, but I did enjoy it.
You ever played the original?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so you I would assume that, like, when you noticed when you played the game, the remake, that you can see a lot of similarities to it when it came to story, at least.
Oh, of course. You can see how it's the same, but also very different. It's its own. It's expanding, if anything.
Yeah. They really went into more detail on everything, especially with the character development, especially with some people that you didn't expect to have character development with, such as, for example, Jesse, which the 3 people like Jesse, Wegs, and Jesse, Wedge, and Biggs.
Put down the mezcal, sir.
Oh, I'm done. I've been done with this. So they were important characters in the original, but they didn't really touch on them that much. They really didn't go deep into character development with them. But with the remake, they did, and it made the game even better, especially with Jessie specifically, like touching on her family and stuff like that.
And trying to touch on Cloud.
Trying to touch on Cloud. Yeah, and then without any spoilers, they did something in the end of the game that I did not expect they were going to do. And the way they touched on it, again, I'm going to hint at it, but it's not a spoiler. It's almost like the game is set in another universe. You know how, like, there's a multiverse of many things, DC, Marvel, comics, stuff like that. It's almost like they touched it into a multiverse thing for Final Fantasy as well. So I love that they did this little bit of a twist to certain things and hints to other stuff and how they're gonna focus on the story wise. So it was really refreshing that they changed things up a lot, aside from the combat, aside from the graphics and the way everything is played. So I don't know. I can go on forever. Like, it's just, Final Fantasy VII was one of my childhood games. So it's not just nostalgia, but it meant a lot for me when it came to, like, turning me into the hardcore gamer that I am.
Yeah. But question, how'd you feel seeing, Cloud in a dress but fully rendered?
I thought it was great. It was actually very well done. I was really worried because and what's funny is that when, even before they announced the remake, even when it was just a tease and a rumor, people were always questioning in this generation now, how would you do a cross-dressing mini game? And everyone's like, no, you can't do it. You got to cut it out. It's not sensitive. It's inappropriate.
Because people are too fucking sensitive.
Because people are too sensitive about it. It's still just a game. It's still just a scene. It's okay. But, at the same time, I could understand, it's going to upset some people. And I guess that's not for them. So just don't play the game. But anyways,
simple as that.
But they added it. Or they said they added it when they announced the game, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, they're gonna piss someone off. They're gonna offend somebody." It was just no, this is no good. What are they gonna do? Because the Japanese can sometimes be a little tone deaf when it comes to American culture and how we handle things. So,
it's not necessarily that they're tone deaf to our culture, but we're tone deaf to theirs. Because a lot of the stuff that isn't offensive over there really isn't offensive at all.
Very true, but you, for making a game that's so worldwide known, you kind of have to cater to everyone.
True.
So because because Final Fantasy has such a huge US fan base, you have to cater to them as well and be very cautious with offending anyone. So that was one of those things that I was worried, because Japanese culture is very different and they're a lot more flamboyant and they're a lot more accepting to certain things and not accepting of others. But it was a touchy subject. And when I finally played it, it was so well done. It was not tone deaf. It was very much of an accepting attitude of, it's okay to cross-dress. You should have fun cross-dressing. It's just cross-dressing. It's nothing. This doesn't mean that you're any less of a man. Is essentially the moral that I got from it. Is that you can dress this way and it's okay.
Take notes, America.
Take notes. He was nowhere less of a man for putting on that dress. And then they had this whole big dance scene with with a rhythm based type game and stuff. And you had Cloud dancing and singing on stage with the guy who practically dressed him and everything. And he was flamboyant as hell and very accepting to it. And I loved it. It was great. I was just I really hope that this didn't piss anybody off, because I feel like that was cool. I haven't heard anything. Have you heard anything at all?
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be explicitly, oh, you fucking, here I am, blah, 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 whatever. Of course. But somewhere, someone was
somewhere, somebody's yeah, this wasn't enough.
I don't want this shit in my Final Fantasy. Fuck.
Yeah, that's actually very true. Either it wasn't enough for let's say, for example, the LGBTQT, what, I can't remember the other letters, I'm sorry.
Plus,
but it'll either offend somebody from that organization or it'll offend someone who's homophobic. They're gonna be oh yeah, I don't want any of this stuff in my games. Why is he dressing like a girl? He doesn't need to be doing that. Let me just see Tifa's boobs. Just God, you need to grow up.
That's a huge part of the game too, so it definitely shouldn't have been taken out, and I'm glad it wasn't.
I agree. Yeah. It was a big part of the game, and what was fun about it too is you kind of get to see Cloud come out of his shell a little bit more, because he was such an emo character in the original. So it was a lot more fun to kind of see more of him, his emotional. You can actually see his face fully rendered, so you can see more emotion displayed in him and how he felt about it, especially after the fact, that this other guy made him more comfortable in that dress and stuff. So it was cool. I liked it.
Character development.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you're number one.
I know this is for the Xbox. I'm still counting it for PlayStation because that's what I played on. But
God, it's coming.
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts. Come on, that's it. The 1.5, specifically the 1.5, 2.5 remix one, right? Mm-hmm. Not to shit on 2.8 or whatever. And I guess I could say the all-in-one if anything. But fucking that one has one. It has two. Fucking Birth by Sleep. and I guess the movies of 358 and Recoded. Oh, also Chain of Memories. Can't forget that one.
Wait,
Still
all
haven't
of this
played
was
it.
in it?
Yeah, you got six things in fucking 1.5 and 2.5.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's pretty neat. But yeah, no, it's Kingdom Hearts. 2 is the best fucking one. 1 is amazing for being the start of it all. Birth by Sleep had really, really good mechanics. Chain of Memories, it's there. not the best. I'll give it that. I am interested in playing the other two, 358 and Recoded, but those are for the DS, so I'll get there when I get there. But overall, 2 is my absolute favorite one.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that I'm like playing it again in fucking 2020, for all of 2020, should I say, that has it there. Best voice acting for me, best combat, best story, the overall feel. It's great. And happy 15th to it, by the way.
Huh?
It turned 15 on the, when was it, 22nd? Literally the day before.
Jesus, 15 years.
Yeah, the day before we recorded the last episode. On the 22nd.
It feels much longer than that, to be honest. I remember when the first game was being played around Japan. I saw it played in the late 90s. This was obviously like, a build of the game. It wasn't like a final copy or even a beta for that matter, but there was a build being played in the late 90s on a cable access channel. I saw this guy playing, and I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Donald and Goofy is fighting with this anime kid? Like, this is crazy. I want to play this. And I didn't know what the game was called for the longest time, and I feel like it was much longer than that, but yeah, 15 years. That's crazy. I was gonna ask before, like, I thought I was a fan because I played them all, but I still, even to this day, have no clue what the story is aside from the core basis of the story. So, like, for you playing these games over and over again, is there anything that you still question about the story?
Just the time travel aspect. It still doesn't make too much sense, but it does at the same time. Yeah, because it doesn't make sense, but it does. Because what is it? One thing that was like kind of really questioned would be, how did Sora become a human again? Because okay, in 1, you know how he like unlocks his heart to bring Kyrie back, and then he becomes a nobody. Sorry, not a nobody, a heartless.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay, so in doing that, he created Roxas, right? His nobody. When he came back to normal, he shouldn't have technically been able to do so because Roxas was still alive. But in Teardrop, they explain how it's like Sora has a thing in him that because his connection with people is so strong, the light kind of like pardoned him and gave him like a get out of jail free card and said, "Nah, you get your body back."
That is
it's
what we
kind
call
of
a Deus Ex Machina.
Yes, definitely. But I mean, fuck it. At least they gave some sort of explanation. There's a lot of things that you still question, honestly. Like, I don't have a complete grasp of it, but the more I play, the more I do get it as to like what's going on. Like, what is it? Fucking how Terra has technically been there since the beginning of, like, since 1. You beat it, right?
What do you mean? He's been like just watching?
Oh, okay. You beat 1, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You know how Ansem has that basically stand from JoJo behind him, but you know how he has that Heartless right behind him, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's Terra.
Oh, okay.
They reveal that fully in 3, but I seeing how I beat 3 before I did fucking Birth by Sleep and whatnot, in 0.2, they show that, like, oh, Terra is like, he has a conversation. He's like, oh, this isn't really me that you're seeing. I have like this whole different appearance, this is that, whatever. Okay, there's that. In Birth by Sleep, seeing how his heart is locked away, and Xehanort is like using him in a sense. He's trapped in eternal darkness, and to make sure he doesn't go away, he locks him in that form. So he's literally been there since fucking Kingdom Hearts 1, and I'm like, what? That's Terra? Yeah. No, to explain the whole story, it's gonna take more than one of these episodes.
It'll take quite a few episodes, I'm sure, to explain it. I tried YouTubing like as a refresher when it came to when Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, and there were more questions more than answers to the video. So I was just like, yeah, I just had it. I just want to play the game, honestly. At some point, I wanted to play 3 just for closure. because I waited for so long, and
Just for
because
closure.
I invested myself playing those other games, even though I still didn't understand much. But I was gonna ask also, for anyone who wants to jump into this game, which comes with all of them essentially, what order should they be playing them as? Do you have any idea yet?
Like chronologic order?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be.
Or what would you prefer? Would it be better in chronological order, or should they be playing it in a certain order, like by release or something?
That's the thing, because each one has like its own kind of quirk to it, if anything. If you want to play one just to play it, definitely play two. You could play the first one to kind of get like a slight grasp of what's going on, just to kind of understand the whole like light and darkness thing. But if you want to do it chronological, definitely start with Birth by Sleep. Even though it was a port from the Vita, it actually translates really well onto console.
That was the card game, wasn't it?
No. Chain of Memories.
Chain of Memories. Okay.
Yeah, that one's poker, Kingdom Hearts version.
Yeah, it's all good though. What's beauty about freaking games is that you can enjoy the oldest or the newest game, the stupidest or the smartest game. It doesn't really matter as long as you enjoy it.
Yeah. Although to be fair though, like not much. I personally feel like not much was interesting in 2020 really, like with new IPs and shit.
Yeah, Cyberpunk was supposed to be the game to break all games, and except it ended up being a broken game. Yeah, I actually pissed some people off on this is what I love. Like I don't know if you've heard any other episodes before, like with me and Danny. Like me and Danny, we butt heads a lot when it comes to our opinions on certain things in the game industry. So we had an episode, for example, where we talk about $70 games, them raising the price, and he kind of doesn't agree with it, where I kind of do, because I see more of the business aspect of it. And then we also talked about, for example, if we should bring back cheat codes in video games or not, and he disagrees with it. Well, I agree with it, for different reasons. We butt head, and I love debating, regardless of. I know I'm not going to change his mind, and it infuriates me that I can't change his mind, because you can listen to these episodes and you can hear my frustration. Like, you're stupid, shut the fuck up, in a sense. But at the same time, I'm just like, I really respect his opinion on it, because it makes sense. But at the same time, you're not going to change my mind. Yeah. So like I love to see that more in the gaming industry, because I know gamers can be very toxic when it comes to like, no, you need to play this game because it's great, or why are you playing that game because it sucks. So I'm sure a lot of people are kind of judging you right now, saying, why the fuck are you still playing Kingdom Hearts in 2020?
Because it's fucking amazing.
Because because you fucking love it. Like, there's no other reason. That's your reason, and just let it be. So I'm mentioning all that because I've been on TikTok a lot lately, and I've been uploading my own stuff. Game questions, game trivia, some cocktail recipes and such. And I come along this one TikTok that somebody made, and he says, name a game or talk about a game opinion that would piss somebody off. That was the gist of it. So I replied back with, Destiny 2 is the best first-person shooter, MMO, and PvP game ever. And you would not believe how many people either agree or disagree, and more so disagree. And I'm not even involved in the conversation. I'm just reading the comments, and these people are just like, no, this game is fucking broken, this and this and that. And then you got some other people commenting on that, arguing about their idea and like how they're wrong. And then basically the whole entire thread is a bunch of people bitching and complaining and arguing, trying to change each other's mind. And I'm just shaking my head. I'm just like, everybody's right. Every single one of you are right. Like, yes, the game is broken. It can be broken sometimes, but it's still a good fucking game. And you may not enjoy it, but there's 8 million other that still do. They still play the game and they love it. So it's just like, everybody's right, everybody's wrong. Just like, say your piece and don't offend anybody. Don't be all pissy about it, because you're not going to change anybody's mind. Just have fun with it. And I found it funny, so I actually posted that up on TikTok. I was just like, hey, everybody, let's just play nice. Everybody's opinion is right. Just be nice. That's it. And it's the way things should be.
Just don't, like, discredit somebody else's opinion.
Yeah, and I think that's another one of those reasons why a lot of people don't take gamers seriously, is because some of them can be so, or not some, a lot of them can be very childish when it comes to their opinion on a game or a system, because there's always the console war talk, you know? Even like us, when we talked about it with Jay and you about which one was going to win the system, PS4 or Xbox, PS5 or Xbox One X or Series X. Sorry, God, all these names with the Xbox, but you know what I mean? Like, you know, even we talked about it because that's something to talk about, but regardless, we were going to get both systems.
Yeah.
Because we just love the games, we love the industry. It doesn't really matter who wins or loses.
And in vain of not being able to change someone's mind, no one can change my mind that Kingdom Hearts 3 is fucking garbage. Someone could love it, you know? I'm pretty sure someone loves it as much as I love too. I'm not going to be like, oh, you're fucking wrong. In my mind, I'll be like, hey, you're fucking terribly wrong.
Yeah, I'm sure you shake your head, and just...
Yeah, of course. I'll give you my reasons as to why it's a steaming pile of garbage, and, you know, you give me your reasons as to why you like it. To be fair, though, it's not the entire game that sucks. The ending is wonderful. The DLC is magnificent. Easier, if anything, but still, like, really good. I don't want to, like, take up too much time just being like, hey, dude, fucking play Remind. It's amazing. Go do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of time, we're running out now, so we got to end this now. We're running on an hour and a half.
Oh, shit.
So we're going to cut it now. But thanks for coming out and telling us your opinion on these games and your side of things, especially with Kingdom Hearts, because, you know, Kingdom Hearts is still a great series. So, you know,
of course,
it's nice. It's nice that you can still tell people that, like, yes, it's still a relevant game still to this day.
Hell yeah. And a little side note, it's fucking hilarious. I know that my nephew, being 2 years old, doesn't understand what the fuck is going on with the game, but he absolutely loves the intro to Dream Drop Distance. Like, he dances to it all the time.
That's cute.
And he'll constantly ask me, Heart, Mickey, Riku?
Oh, yeah,
yes,
you told me that.
Yes, baby.
Yeah.
And actually, let's make it interesting. Have people put their top 5 games of 2020 in the comments, if anything.
Oh, of course. I hope they do. Send us the emails. I'm on TikTok now. I'm posting up often on TikTok. We got Instagram. We got YouTube. We got Facebook. We got freaking everything. So there's no excuses, no reason
Twitter,
you can't
MySpace,
find us somewhere.
Fucking hit us up on AIM.
Who still does MySpace? AIM? I bet you half the audience would not know what AIM is.
Well, they can look it up.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for listening into our newest episode. I really do apologize for the audio quality. I pretty much didn't realize throughout the entire time that I had my gain level so high up, so you can hear so much background noise. I'm going to fix that for the next episode. I did also get a new mic, so I'll be recording a little bit better with the Elgato Wave 3 microphone. Hopefully that works out as well. I want you guys to send me your favorite games of 2020, your favorite games in general. Subscribe to our podcast at www.thedrunkenguardian.com, and also you can email us any requests, any suggestions, any comments to thedrunkenguardian@gmail.com as well. Keep on following us on all of our social media content. We're growing so much more as a podcast and would love to do more with the subscribers and listeners. And I hope to see you soon in the next episode. Thank you, guys.